All right, so a real quick intro video on difference of squares. So pretty much all we're going to have to do here is just square root. It's a really simple pattern. Sometimes we'll throw in a GCF down here a little bit, but pretty much what we have in our standard form that you know of, ax squared plus bx plus c, we're only going to use the a and c term. We're not going to have this bx term in the middle. So we'll have ax squared plus c. A lot of times, especially for these first ones, your a will just be 1, and that is perfectly fine. But what we will do here is we will square root both of these numbers. Okay, so we're going to square root that first term and square root the second term. We're going to set up two sets of parentheses. So the square root of x squared, what I'm putting in blue right here, goes in the first one. So that's just x. And then the square root of 25, since it is in the last spot there, we're going to put it in the last spot here. Now, the only thing that we need to do from here is put a minus and a plus. It doesn't matter which one you put first, as long as they are different. And I'll show you why this works. When you FOIL this back out, which we learned last week how to do, that will give you x squared plus 5x, and then minus 5x minus 25. So if you notice, these two middle terms right here, that's a positive 5x and a negative 5x, they will cancel out. So you're just left with x squared minus 25, which is just like what we started out with. So that is, you don't have to FOIL at the end, but that's just showing you, checking your answer and proving that is correct. So we'll do the same thing with this one. We'll square root, set up two sets of parentheses. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 100 is 10, and you can put a plus in front or a minus. Doesn't matter as long as they are different, so that that middle term right there will cancel out. Lastly, hopefully you'll get pretty good at this and you won't even need to look at it. You can see that it's just going to be x, or you don't even need to write the square roots. You can just look at it. That'll be a x in front and a 3 at the end, minus and plus. So sometimes you will have to factor out a GCF first. So for this one, we're going to find our greatest common factor, which is a 2. We can't take out an x because we don't have an x in both of them. But so then we'll just be left with x squared minus 16. So what I want you to see is we're not finished. This right here is a difference of squares, right? Both of those numbers can be square rooted, and it's a minus sign. Now, this wouldn't work if it was a plus sign, okay? This wouldn't work if it was a plus sign at all. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep that GCF, and now we're going to factor out what I've underlined in green, just like one of these other problems, right? So that'll be an x in the first blanks. Square root of 16 is 4 in the second blanks, plus minus. Okay, so it's the exact same thing as what we did before. We're just taking out a GCF first. We're just throwing in one extra step. So for this one, we will have x as our GCF. So that comes out front, and we divide. That'll leave us with our difference of squares, x squared minus 100. And you notice that's just like one we had before. So we will set up our two sets of parentheses. The square root of x squared is x. That goes in the front. The square root of 100 is 10. That goes in the back. Minus plus, plus minus does not matter. Lastly, over here, we divide both of these by 3 as our GCF. That'll leave us with x squared minus 4, and that is our difference of squares. X goes in the front, 2 goes at the back, minus plus. All right, so with these, there's not a GCF on here, but they're still pretty neat. So obviously we don't have a GCF. Both those numbers can't be divided by 2 or 4 or 5 or anything like that. So all we're going to do is just square root them. If you notice, 4 and 25 are square roots, or they are perfect squares. So we're going to take the square root of 4x squared, which will be 2x, and put that in the front. And then the square root of 25 is 5. So we don't have to have a 1 in front of our x squared to do this. As long as both of them are perfect squares, you're perfectly fine. So the same thing here. We set up our two sets of parentheses. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of x squared is x. And the square root of 49 is 7. Plus, minus. Here we go. All right, so I'll leave these to practice for you, and I think that's actually it. I don't think we... No, that's right. That's right. And you will not have learned this one yet, I don't think. We haven't done the factoring trinomial, so I think that might be a mistake. But you can do the same thing right there.